y'all. Today I thought I would tell y'all about another one of my passions. I really love herbal teas and creating them and like creating my own recipes. And so I actually have a cottage food business where I make a couple of different lines of teas, herbal teas, some with black tea, some without, some with caffeine, some without. The first one that I started, my first brand is called Thirst the Heart. It was inspired by actually a church song that we sing, As Thirst the Heart, for Waterbrooks, y'all may know it. This one, well, each one is also inspired by a passage from the Bible, and Thirst the Heart comes from Psalm 42:1 from the King James Version. As the hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O God. And I just love that, and so it inspired me to make teas. And each flavor that I make also has a scripture that goes along with it. So this one is called Good Courage Pumpkin Spice Latte Tea with coffee blend. So this is like an herbal tea with coffee and all the good pumpkin spice flavors in there. So it's good courage, and the scripture that goes along with that is, Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all ye that hope in the Lord. Psalm 31:24, King James Version. So that's one I'm working on right now. I packaged up a couple of those, but I'll probably do some more. I do them kind of also along with the seasons. So I have this Thanksgiving one, Thanksgiving cranberry spiced Earl Grey blend. Thanksgiving, the scripture is, Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known unto God. Philippians 4:6, King James Version. I always put the King James Version on there. So I've also just started a new kind of a brand of teas, and it's kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's not from the Bible, but I do love all things vintage, or most things vintage, I should say. So I started one called Old Hollywood Teas and Fine Foods. So this is going to be teas along with mixes such as cornbread mixes, cake mixes, different things like that. And each one was inspired by a different old Hollywood singer or actor, actress, entertainers. And so this one I'm going to be working on today is called Bing Crosby's Wild Irish Rose Black Tea Blend. So these are my labels. And as a cottage food business, I have to include all of the ingredients, and I also have a label that says that this has not been inspected by, the FDA. FDA, I can't remember. It's not been inspected. So as a cottage food here in Texas, you don't have to have your kitchen inspected. But in order to stay cottage food, you have to only sell face to face. You can't ship your products like that. It has to be sold directly to the customer. And I have these little bags that I'm going to be putting the labels on. I think I left the back label over there, so I might have to grab that in a minute. But for now, we'll just put on the front labels. I'm just going to do one to show you, so I'll just take one of these. And I designed these labels, and I use Avery because their program online is really easy to use. Just put it on there. It's a little tricky with the gloves on, kind of sticks. But yeah, I have so much fun doing these. So now it's got the labels on there and the little Bing Crosby. A little bit of information about the herbs. It's always a good idea if you get into blending your own teas or herbs in general. Keep them in an airtight container. I like to keep mine in jars like this when possible, and also they'll stay a lot fresher for longer if you keep them out of the sun. So I keep mine in the cabinet. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend one up just to show you too. And if you've never made up a recipe for teas before, here's what I do, and I think it's generally how people do teas. Instead of measuring by, like, say, a cup of English breakfast and a cup of raspberry, a half a cup of this, you would do it in parts. You measure it in parts. That way, whether you're using a measuring cup or measuring spoons or a solo cup, like whatever container you have to measure with, you can say, okay, I have 1 part English breakfast. I'm going to do half a part of raspberry leaf, and so on and so forth, and what have you. So it just makes it a lot easier. Yeah. So I have written here in my trusty little notebook where I keep all my homemade recipes, Bing Crosby's Wild Irish Rose Black Tea Blend. So first, this one's a pretty simple one. I'm gonna do 1 1/4 cups of rose petals. I love these rose petals. They smell so good. Do y'all like to drink like rose flavored drinks? I like to go to like the Mediterranean restaurants and order their rose drinks. So nice. Let's see. So I'm going to be using a measuring, like a 1 cup measuring cup. So for 1 1/4, I would do 1 1/4 cup. So I'll just kind of eyeball the fourth. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's pretty close. So 1 1/4, and put the lid back. Then for the black tea, I'm going to use English breakfast and do 1 part black tea. What kind of teas do y'all like to drink? I love the seasonal ones. You know, I love to have the cinnamon and spices during the fall, of course. I'm sure most people do. In the winter, I like to make them with a little bit of mint and chocolate, kind of like York peppermint patty style, stuff like that. Let's see, white peony. Oh wait, let's do the raspberry leaves next. I really like adding raspberry leaves to my blends. Just gives it a lot of extra depth somehow. It's really nice. Okay, raspberry 1 part. White peony. 1 part as well. Hope y'all can hear me. I actually ordered a microphone, but it doesn't come until tomorrow. So hopefully y'all can hear me. If not, I'll try to do better starting maybe tomorrow. And last but not least, rooibos. Rooibos adds a lot of pretty color. I don't usually add a lot of rooibos because it can get pretty strong taste, but in small amounts it gives it a beautiful like rose color, or kind of orangey rose, and I like to do that. So 1/4 part rooibos. Let's see, a little bit more. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Now, I'm not a professional herbalist or anything. I kind of studied on my own, and I don't know, unfortunately, so much about the medicinal benefits yet. I know some, but I'm not an expert. I stick to herbs that usually don't have side effects. So all of these are pretty safe. I do label them, of course, if it's got caffeine, or if it was one that somebody specifically asked me to make that might, you know, cause some kind of side effect, I will put that on the label. But generally speaking, I don't use any kind of herbs like that. And I do like to wear gloves, just try to be sanitary. and just kind of mix it up. I always love doing this because then you can get a good whiff of how that smells. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's very colorful. I don't know if that's showing up, but it looks so nice. And then I have this little digital scale. Each bag is 2 ounces. Oh, let me grab a bowl. Hold on. Totally forgot to grab my bowl. Sorry about that. Okay, so I put the bowl on the digital scale with it turned off. That way I can tear it in so it doesn't measure the weight of the bowl, just the weight of the tea. So now I'm using ounces and it's at 0. So for 2 ounces, I like to make sure that those raspberry leaves get good and mixed in. They kind of clump together a little bit if you're not careful. So I'll measure out 2 ounces. A little bit more. I like to put it a little bit over 2 ounces just to make sure that I give everybody a little bit extra. Okay. So now with my high-tech equipment, I would take my trusty paper plate and make a little funnel. It's worked for me for the past couple of years, so I just keep doing it. I turn this off, that way I'm not wasting a battery. Pour carefully. Let me do this over the bowl. Don't want to lose any of that goodness. Pour carefully into your funnel. Sometimes you have to shake it up, shake it down in there a little bit before you can put the rest. Come on. This one's being stubborn. I'll have to add a little bit more back into that one. I may have actually, this little package, I just switched over to these littler packages. It may not be quite big enough for 2 ounces of this tea. So if it doesn't close all the way, I'm gonna have to reorder some slightly bigger bags, but you'll get the gist of how it works. And these are nice because they have the window on there. I don't know if y'all can see that, where the customer can see all the beautiful herbs through the window. I think it might just barely close. Getting their money's worth, I guess. Yeah, pretty good. And these are heat sealing bags, I should say. Heat sealing. I have a little sealer, a heat sealer, and you just crimp it on there a couple of seconds and it keeps it really fresh for a long time. So there we go. I didn't put the back label, but that's pretty much the finished product. And I think that's about it. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, seeing one of my other passions. And if y'all don't mind, like the video, and if you want to hear more, just subscribe, and I would really appreciate that. And I hope y'all have all been having a blessed day. And I will talk to y'all very, very soon. God bless. Bye-bye.